Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode we're going to look at possibly the proof of Jesus Christ's existence. So let's get into the video. The Shroud of Turin, also known as the Holy Shroud, is a piece of linen cloth that bears a faint image of the front and back of a man. It has been venerated for centuries, especially by members of the Catholic Church, as the actual burial shroud used to wrap the body of Jesus of Nazareth after his crucifixion. Scientific inquiry into the shroud began in 1898 with the startling image captured by Italian amateur photographer Secondo Pia. Under normal conditions, only a vague sepia blur of a human body appears on the fabric. But when Pia examined the reverse negative of his photographic plate in the darkroom, he discovered a detailed likeness of a bearded man with visible wounds on his body. This negative image is associated with a popular Catholic devotion to the holy face of Jesus. The shroud's authenticity as a holy relic has been disputed even within the Catholic Church. The documented history of the shroud dates back to 1354 when it was exhibited in the new Collegiate Church of Liry, a village in north-central France. The shroud was denounced as a forgery by the Bishop of Troyes in 1389. It was then acquired by the House of Savoy in 1453 and later on deposited in a chapel in Chambéry, where it was damaged by a fire in 1532. In 1578, the Savoys moved the shroud to their new capital in Turin, where it has remained ever since. Since 1683, it has been kept in the Chapel of the Holy Shroud, which was designed for that purpose by architect Guarino Guarini and which is connected to both the Royal Palace and the Turin Cathedral. Ownership of the shroud moved from the House of Savoy to the Catholic Church after the death of the former king Umberto II in 1983. So, is this the shroud that was used to wrap the body of Jesus Christ of Nazareth? For 7 decades, indirect analysis of the image were conducted by researchers, mostly aimed at determining whether it had been painted onto the linen or produced through contact with a human corpse. It wasn't until 1969 when scientists were allowed to examine the fabric directly with the aim of advising on preservation techniques and future testing. This set the scene for the establishment of the US-led Shroud of Turin research project, which was granted an unprecedented 5 days continuous access to the shroud itself in 1978. The project's 33 members arrived in Turin with 7 tons of equipment and worked in shifts 24 hours a day. An associate team of European scientists acted as expert observers. Their analysis found no sign of artificial pigments and that the shroud image is that of a real human form of a scourged crucified man. The 1981 report also stated that the bloodstains are composed of hemoglobin and also give a positive test for serum albumin. The report also conceded that no combination of physical, chemical, biological or medical circumstances could adequately account for the image. Other alternative theorists who are skeptical have given different explanations. The microscopist Walter Macron found, based on his examination of samples taken in 1978 from the surface of the shroud using adhesive tape, that the image on the shroud had been painted with a dilute solution of red ochre pigment in a gelatin medium. Macron found that the bloodstains were painted with vermilion pigment, also in a gelatin medium. Macron's findings were disputed by other researchers, and the nature of the image on the shroud continues to be debated. In 1988, radiocarbon dating done by 3 different laboratories established that the shroud's linen material was produced between the years 1260 and 1390, which are inconsistent with the time of Jesus Christ. Defenders of the authenticity of the shroud have questioned those results on the basis that the samples taken may have been contaminated or taken from a repair work done to the original shroud. The shroud is rectangular, measuring approximately 4.4 by 1.1 meters. The cloth is woven in a 3:1 herringbone twill composed of flax fibrils. Its most distinctive characteristic is the faint brownish image of a front and back view of a man with his hands folded. The two views are aligned along the midplane of the body and point in opposite directions. The front front and back views of the head nearly meet at the middle of the cloth. The image appears to be of a man with a beard, mustache, and shoulder-length hair parted in the middle. He is muscular and tall, between 5'7" to 6'2" inches. Reddish-brown stains appear on the cloth, correlating with the wounds in the biblical description of the crucifixion of Jesus. The shroud was damaged by a fire in 1532 in a chapel in Chambéry. There are some burn holes and scorched areas down both sides of the linen. 14 large triangular patches and 8 smaller ones was sewn onto the cloth to repair the damage done to the shroud. According to religious texts, Simon Peter came along behind him and went straight into the tomb of Jesus Christ. He saw the strips of linen lying there, as well as the cloth that had been wrapped around Jesus' head. The cloth was still lying in its place, separate from the linen. Looming above all other issues is what physicist Paolo di Lazzaro calls the question of questions. How was the image produced onto the shroud, regardless of its age? Every scientific attempt to replicate it in a lab has failed. Its precise hue is highly unusual, and the color's penetration into the fabric is extremely thin, less than 0.7 micrometers. So in a nutshell, even if the shroud is forged, as some theorists have argued, scientists are unable to explain how the image of a human formed on the linen. What do you think? Is the shroud that of Jesus Christ, or do you think otherwise? Let me know in the comment section down below, and as always, do not forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more facts about anything and everything. Thank you.